I should have spoken up years ago." Those were the exact words Chrissy said, right before she dropped a bombshell that's about to blow the internet wide open. For weeks, the streets have been whispering, the blogs have been hinting, and the fans have been losing their minds trying to piece it all together. But no one saw this coming. Chrissy just unleashed a truth that's darker, messier, and way more personal than anyone imagined. In a voice trembling with emotion and rage, she exposed Camron in a way that left even Jim Jones frozen in shock. We're talking late-night calls, years-old secrets, loyalty shattered, and lines crossed that should have never been touched. What did Camron really say in those secret messages? Why did Chrissy keep it hidden for so long? And most importantly, how deep does this betrayal really go? Grab your popcorn, because this isn't just a scandal, it's a ticking time bomb that just exploded in front of millions. And by the end of this video, you're going to be asking yourself, was it all fake love from the start? Stay locked in. The truth is uglier than anyone expected. Under the dim glow of a single lamp, Chrissy sat in silence, her eyes fixed on the phone screen in front of her. The notification flashed once again. Another comment, another tag, another rumor spiraling out of control. Ever since Camron's supposed secret messages had leaked, her life had become a storm of speculation, betrayal, and unwanted fame. But today, she wasn't hiding. Not anymore. Her voice cracked slightly as she hit the record button. "I never wanted to do this publicly," she began, her tone low and heavy. "But Cam, you left me no choice." And with that, she began to unravel a story that had been buried for over a decade. A twisted tale of love, loyalty, and lies that threatened to shatter everything the world thought they knew about Harlem's most iconic trio. Fans first noticed something strange a few weeks ago, when Camron posted a cryptic Instagram story, just a black screen with a single sentence: "Truth always finds its way out." It didn't take long before the internet did what it does best. Within hours, Reddit threads exploded. Podcasts speculated, and shady blog sites started whispering that Cam had something on Chrissy, something explosive. And when the alleged DM surfaced, it was chaos. The screenshots, still unverified, showed what appeared to be Cam reaching out to Chrissy years ago, speaking in codes, referencing nights that Jim didn't know about, and hinting at a closeness that went far beyond friendship. Chrissy had stayed quiet then, as the blogs picked her apart, calling her everything from a mastermind to a traitor. Jim Jones, caught in the crossfire, stormed off an interview when asked about it. He hadn't spoken to Cam in months. And now, it was Chrissy's turn to speak. In her video, she didn't deny the messages. Instead, she dropped something heavier. Context. "You think I wanted to be caught between those two?" she said, eyes burning with a mix of anger and regret. "Do you think this was some game to me? They treated me like a trophy and forgot I was a person." She went back to the beginning, before the fame, before the mixtapes and the reality TV. We were kids, all of us. Harlem was small back then. And Cam, he was the first one who saw me, before Jim, before everything. He was different back then. This was the first twist. Chrissy revealed that long before she and Jim Jones were the couple everyone knew, she had a brief secret fling with Camron. It wasn't love, she said, but it wasn't nothing either. They had promised to keep it buried once Jim came into the picture. They all agreed it was better that way. But secrets have a way of growing roots. Chrissy explained how things got complicated when she and Jim started to get serious. Cam had backed off, but not completely. He would test boundaries, she admitted. He'd flirt when Jim wasn't around, say things that made me feel confused. And she confessed that she never told Jim the full truth, not about how close she and Cam had really been. Then came the night that changed everything. According to Chrissy, it was during the early days of love and hip-hop filming. Tensions were already high. The cameras were in their faces, the pressure of the brand deals, and Jim's growing distance. He wasn't the same Jim I fell for, she said softly. He was always gone, always distracted. And Cam, he knew. He saw the cracks. One night after filming, Cam showed up uninvited at a lounge where Chrissy and her friends were celebrating. He acted like it was a coincidence, she said, but it wasn't. They ended up talking alone for hours in a dark corner of the club. He kept saying things like, "You picked the wrong one, and it was supposed to be me." And then came the moment she said she never forgot. The moment Cam leaned in and whispered, "I still think about you every night. Chrissy said she pushed him away, told him to stop, but part of her didn't. I hated how it made me feel, she said through clenched teeth, because part of me wondered, what if? The camera lingered on her face as she let that question sit, heavy and unresolved. And just like that, fans were divided. Team Chrissy accused Camron of emotional manipulation. Team Cam said Chrissy played both sides. And Team Jim, silent, just like Jim himself. But the messages were real. Chrissy confirmed it. He messaged me again years later, after we had that fight on the show, she said. I was vulnerable, and he knew it. The DM read, "If you ever get tired of fake love, you know where real is." She didn't reply. Not because she didn't want to, but because she was afraid of what would happen if she did. I thought ignoring it would make it go away, she said. But it only got worse. She said Cam kept pushing. Subtle posts, sly comments, jokes on interviews. He would say things that sounded like inside references, things only she would understand. He was trying to get in my head, she said, and for a while, it worked. The video ended with Chrissy promising she would reveal everything. "This is just the beginning," she said. "If y'all really want the truth, I'll give it to you." Within minutes, the internet exploded. Twitter trended with Hump Chrissy Speaks, blogs reposted every word. Fan accounts began comparing old footage of Cam and Chrissy for signs of chemistry. Body language experts weighed in. Old interviews were rewatched with new suspicion, but one person wasn't watching, Jim Jones. According to sources close to the rapper, Jim refused to comment. He had left town the day before Chrissy's video went live. Insiders claimed he was blindsided and heartbroken. One even said he had confronted Chrissy privately the night before the video was released, demanding she not go through with it. He told her, "You're about to burn it all down," the source said. And she told him, "Maybe it needs to." And just like that, the stage was set. The curtain had lifted. Chrissy had spoken. Cam was still silent. And Jim? No one knew where he stood. What would happen next would send shockwaves through the entire industry. Jim Jones didn't slam the door when he left. He ripped it off the hinges. Hours after Chrissy's video dropped, Jim vanished from social media, canceled 2 scheduled appearances, and according to insiders, emptied out his studio in New Jersey without saying a word to his team. The man who once proudly said, "Chrissy is my queen," was now silent, cold, and unreachable. The industry wasn't just watching, it was holding its breath. But while Jim disappeared, Camron was gearing up for war. Cam posted a story the next morning that sent shockwaves across the culture. A grainy, black and white photo of him and Chrissy from the early 2000s, both smiling, both too close. No caption, no context, just chaos. Fans lost their minds. Was this his way of confirming everything? Was this a warning shot, or was it revenge? Chrissy hadn't seen that photo in years. She was shaking when she saw it resurface. "He told me he deleted it," she whispered to her close friend in a leaked voice memo. "He promised me no one would ever see that picture." And yet, there it was, posted for millions to analyze, speculate, and judge. Cam wasn't done. Cam wasn't done. The next day, on a live stream with a controversial blogger, Cam laughed as he was asked about Chrissy's confession. "Man, I ain't surprised she finally talked," he said casually. "What y'all think? I was gonna keep all them secrets forever?" The chat exploded with laughing emojis and fire symbols, but behind the scenes, people close to Chrissy said she broke down crying after seeing it. "He's playing with my life like it's a mixtape drop," she reportedly told a friend. "This isn't music, this is me," but then another twist. A second set of DMs leaked. This time, from Chrissy to Cam, dated years after the original messages. The screenshots showed her thanking Cam for being there when no one else was. And even one message that read, "Sometimes I think about how things could have been." Fans were stunned. Was Chrissy more involved than she let on? Was she the one keeping the door open all along? Blogs went into overdrive. YouTube was flooded with breakdowns, voiceover analyses, even lip readers trying to decode past interactions. Old episodes of Love and Hip Hop were being rewatched like true crime documentaries. And in the middle of all this, Jim Jones finally broke his silence. But he didn't go live. He didn't tweet. He dropped a verse in a surprise freestyle posted. To his Instagram, Jim rapped over a slowed-down soul sample, eyes red, voice heavy. 10 toes down, I ain't never switched sides. Loyalty ain't love, I can see it in your eyes. Fans were quick to connect the dots. This was about Chrissy, about Cam, about the triangle that had blown up in front of the entire world. One line in particular left everyone gasping. How you break bread with a snake, then cry when he bite. Within an hour, the freestyle had gone viral. Reactions poured in. Some fans praised Jim for staying classy under pressure. Others said it was too little, too late. But Chrissy, she was silent. Completely. Until another video leaked. This one wasn't recorded. It was taken in secret, a cell phone clip of Chrissy outside a downtown restaurant, arguing with a woman believed to be Camron's ex. Voices were raised, hands were moving. The audio was muffled, but one line came through clear. Tell your man to stop leaking our past like it's content. The internet exploded again. People were now convinced this wasn't just messy, it was strategic. Theories began to fly. Was Cam doing this to promote something? Was Chrissy trying to clean up her image before a new reality show? Was Jim playing the victim, or the only real one in the story? But things got even darker. A voice memo leaked on a private fan page, supposedly from Cam to one of his boys, where he said, "Yo, I could have had her if I wanted. I backed off out of respect for Jim. But now, all bets off." It was the confirmation many feared. Cam was no longer holding back. And for Chrissy, the walls were closing in fast. Friends started turning. One of Chrissy's longtime stylists posted a cryptic tweet. You can't scream victim when you were playing two sides the whole time. And a former castmate from Love and Hip Hop liked a comment that said, Chrissy was never innocent, she just played it better. Behind the scenes, Chrissy was unraveling. Her inner circle was tightening, calls were being ignored, and sources say she had a major fallout with Jim's mother, Mama Jones, who allegedly screamed at her over the phone, "You made my son look like a fool on the internet. You better fix this." But there was no fixing it, especially not when Camron posted a third photo, this time a screenshot of a song he never released, titled Unfinished Business, with a cover image that fans immediately recognized as the same lounge where he and Chrissy had their infamous late-night talk. The caption read, "Y'all want to know what really happened? Friday." He was dropping a diss track. The industry was on fire. Radio hosts were speculating, fans were betting. Some said it would end Cam's career. Others said Chrissy would finally be exposed. But the only thing everyone agreed on, Friday, was about to be a bloodbath. And in the midst of this chaos, one voice returned to the conversation. Chrissy's, she posted a story. No selfie, no music, just white text on a black background. Truth isn't a diss track. It's something you live with every day. No one could predict what would happen next. But everyone knew one thing for sure. The war had only just begun. The city didn't sleep that night. Streets were quiet, but the internet was louder than ever. Friday came like a loaded gun, and Camron pulled the trigger without hesitation. At midnight sharp, his diss track dropped. Titled Unfinished Business, it wasn't just a song. It was a declaration of war. From the first line, Cam didn't hold back. His tone was cold, calculated, and sharp enough to cut deep. Said she was loyal, but she played the whole team. Now she crying on the gram trying to sell a dream. Within seconds, the track was being screen recorded, reposted, and picked apart line by line. He named no names directly, but everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. Every bar hit like a punch to the chest, especially the line that had the entire culture spinning. Jim moved sloppy, left the door wide open. Piu and Chrissy, man, she always been broken. It was raw. It was brutal, and it had over 2 million views in under an hour. Fans were torn. Some praised Cam for telling his side, while others accused him of weaponizing a woman's vulnerability for clout. But one thing no one expected, Chrissy's silence. She didn't respond. Not with a tweet, not with a post, nothing. And that silence only made things worse. Because less than 24 hours later, a private voicemail leaked. The audio, scratchy but unmistakable, was Chrissy's voice. She was crying. Not dramatic sobs, the kind of quiet, tired crying that sounded like defeat. "I can't believe he really put that out," she whispered. "He told me it would never see daylight. He promised." No one knew who leaked it. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. Fans now heard the other side. Not the fire and sass from reality TV, but the raw, unfiltered pain of a woman who felt betrayed by someone who once called her family. And just when it seemed like the drama had peaked, Another twist. Former Dipset affiliate, someone who'd been silent for years, went live on Instagram claiming he witnessed Cam and Chrissy together years ago, and what he saw wasn't innocent. His exact words? "Y'all keep acting like this was all one-sided. Chrissy ain't no victim. She'd been playing chess, not checkers." The comment section was a battlefield. Fans demanded proof. Others said he was clout chasing. But then he dropped a bomb. "I got pics too. I just ain't posted them yet." Chrissy had finally had enough. 3 days after Cam's diss track, she went live. No filters, no background music, just her in her living room, looking exhausted but fierce. "You want the truth?" she said. "Here it is." For 30 uninterrupted minutes, Chrissy poured it all out. She didn't hold back. She admitted to her past with Cam, confirmed they had a history before Jim, and revealed that Cam had crossed boundaries multiple times, even after she got engaged. "I never slept with him while I was with Jim," she said. "But yes, I entertained conversations I shouldn't have. And for that, I take responsibility. But don't act like he was some heartbroken victim. He was calculating. He knew what he was doing." Then, she dropped the real twist. "I wasn't the only one he was messaging. There were others. Girls. He used to flex on me, trying to make me jealous, trying to get in my head." She said Cam used their past as a weapon. He kept receipts not because he cared, but because he wanted leverage. Her voice cracked. This wasn't about love. It was about control. The comments flew in. Thousands. Some praising her for being real, others saying she was deflecting. But Chrissy wasn't done. "And to Jim," she said, voice trembling, "I'm sorry, not for Cam, but for not telling you sooner. You didn't deserve this." And for the first time in a week, Jim responded. He commented on her live with just 3 words. "Too little, too late." The internet erupted, screenshots flooded timelines. Blogs posted headlines in all caps. Jim responds with heartbreak. Chrissy breaks down on live. Camron's plan backfires. But something shifted that night, because hours later, another voice entered the chat. Mama Jones. She went live on her own page, sipping wine and speaking with brutal honesty. "I told Chrissy years ago," she said, "don't play with fire." Now look, she didn't defend her son, she didn't slam Cam, but she made one thing clear. This family's been breaking for years. This just cracked it open for the world to see. And just like that, it wasn't about Cam anymore. It wasn't even about Chrissy. It was about everything that had been bubbling under the surface for over a decade, finally spilling out in real time. And then, silence. For 2 whole days, no one posted. No diss tracks, no cryptic quotes, no blurry photos or shady tweets. The storm had, and in the preview, Cam said something that changed everything. "Chrissy wasn't the only one in Jim's circle talking to me. He need to ask his boy Dre about that trip to Atlanta." In under 15 seconds, he shifted the focus from Chrissy to a whole new layer of betrayal, suggesting someone in Jim's own crew might have had their own dirt. The plot thickened once again. The podcast episode dropped at noon sharp, and within 5 minutes, it was the #1 trending video on YouTube. Cam sat back in a low-lit studio, sunglasses on, unbothered, sipping casually from a red plastic cup like he wasn't detonating nuclear-level secrets. But this wasn't the usual cocky Cam. This version was quieter, colder, more methodical. He didn't yell, he didn't joke, he just spoke, each word landing like a slow drip of gasoline on open flame. "Jim always thought the threat was me and Chrissy," Cam said, pausing. What he never realized was the real betrayal was happening right next to him. At his table, the host leaned forward, visibly shaken. "You saying someone from his team was involved with Chrissy, too?" Cam smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "I'm saying, when you chase fake love, you lose track of who's really loyal." He never said the name Dre again, but he didn't have to. Within minutes, social media had done its job. Fans dug up footage of Jim's longtime friend and producer Dre, in background clips, in behind-the-scenes shots, even on old tour buses. The chemistry between him and Chrissy, subtle, but now viewed under a magnifying glass, it suddenly felt loud. Screenshots surfaced from years back. Dre and Chrissy in Atlanta at the same time, posting from different locations, but with the same skyline in the background. Fans pieced together timestamps, matching earrings, even one photo where Chrissy was wearing a jacket people claimed she was never seen in before. But Dre was. Conspiracy theories exploded. Was it all bigger than Cam and Chrissy? Was there a deeper web of betrayal surrounding Jim this whole time? Fans were now divided into entirely new camps. Team Cam, Team Chrissy, Team Jim, and now Team Dree? But Chrissy wasn't letting that one ride. She went live again, eyes bloodshot, but jaw clenched with defiance. "You really gonna drag other people in now? That's how scared you are of the truth?" she said, staring dead into the camera. Cam's deflecting. He knows the public turned on him, so now he's trying to throw mud on everyone else. She didn't deny knowing Dre. "He's Jim's boy. We all traveled together. We all stayed in the same cities. Y'all think I can't breathe the same air as someone without it being a scandal?" But fans weren't buying it. The comments rolled in fast. "But why were you at the same rooftop as Dre at 2 a.m.? Those matching hotel lamps, not a coincidence. Girl, please, you ain't slick." Still, Chrissy held her ground. She wasn't breaking down this time. "I see what this is now," she said. "Cam's trying to burn everything to the ground so no one notices he's the one who lit the first match." But the chaos didn't stop there. Jim Jones went live, not from a studio or his home, but from inside his car. Face lit by dashboard. Lights, hoodie pulled low. He stared into the camera for a long moment before finally speaking. "Everybody got secrets," he said, voice low and raspy. "Everybody think they know the truth, but truth don't change. It waits." He didn't name Cam, didn't address Chrissy, but his message was clear. "Some of y'all playing games with pain. This ain't love and hip-hop, this real life. And it's messy. It's hurtful, and it's mine to deal with, not yours." The comments went insane. Fans praised his maturity. Others begged him to leave Chrissy. Some accused him of knowing the truth all along and playing the victim. But then, without warning, he dropped the bomb. "I got my own story to tell," he said. "And when it's time, y'all gonna hear it." Rumors hit like wildfire. Was Jim working on a documentary? An album? A tell-all? And who would he target when he finally told his truth? But no one expected what came next. Mama Jones went live. Again. But this time, she wasn't sipping wine or throwing shade. She was crying. Through tears, she spoke directly to Chrissy. "You were family. I defended you when no one else would. I begged Jim to stay with you. And now you got my son out here looking like he ain't got a spine?" She wiped her eyes, voice trembling. "Cam should have never gone there. But baby, you should have never let it get this far." Now look, the internet was stunned. The drama wasn't entertainment anymore. It was heartbreak, betrayal, loss. The fans were starting to feel guilty for how deep they'd dived in. Tweets shifted from memes to genuine concern. Comments went from laughing emojis to, "I hope they all get therapy." Then, silence again. For 5 days, no one said a word. No stories, no lives, no posts. Just the occasional unfollow, cryptic quote, or deactivated comment section. And then, just as things started to settle, a trailer dropped. Black screen, piano music, soft voiceover, 3 people, 1 truth, and a whole lot of lies in between. Text appeared, the sit down. Cam, Chrissy, Jim, 1 room. No edits, no scripts, just truth. Coming soon, the internet erupted. Was this real? Were they all about to face each other? Who agreed to it first? What were the terms? Was it even safe? Fans didn't know it yet, but this wasn't just about a sit-down. Less than 1 hour after the sit-down teaser dropped, hashtags started, trending worldwide. Montcam Shrizzy, bar Jim finally, speaks, won Harlem. Breakup. The fans were ready for blood or closure or both. Everyone had questions. Who reached out first? Who agreed to be in the same room? Would this be real or just more scripted? Mess? The answer came fast. An exclusive clip was leaked 2 nights later, showing the opening 5 minutes of the sit-down. No dramatic music, no flashy edits. Just raw tension, thicker than smoke in a locked room. Camron was already seated, rocking, back and forth in his chair, hood up, chewing gum like he had nothing to lose. Chrissy walked in next. She didn't look at him. Not even a glance. She sat across from him, eyes fixed on the table. But when Jim walked in, dead silence. You could hear his boots on the floor, his chain clinking lightly with each step. He didn't sit at first. He just stood there, scanning both of them like he was trying to read their souls. Then slowly, he pulled the chair out and sat between them. What followed wasn't yelling. It wasn't chaos. It was worse. It was quiet. controlled, icy. "Y'all ready?" Jim asked, barely above a whisper. Cam leaned back. "Been ready." Chrissy didn't answer. She just nodded. Then the moderator, a well-known culture journalist, started with the most obvious question. "Why are you here?" Chrissy spoke first. "Because I'm tired of being the villain in a story nobody really understands." Jim nodded slowly. "Me too," Cam just smirked. "I'm here because they said I couldn't be." Already, the tension was unbearable. You could feel the years of unspoken pain sitting heavy in the room. The journalist pushed forward. "Let's start with this. Cam, did you or did you not send Chrissy the messages that leaked?" Cam didn't blink. "I did. Every one of them." Chrissy flinched slightly but kept her cool. "And what was your intention?" the journalist asked. Cam took a breath. "I was mad, not just at Jim, at everything. We had history, all of us. And I felt like I got erased from it, like I never existed in the picture." Jim finally spoke. "You did that to yourself, bro." Cam turned toward him, eyes narrowed. "Nah, you pushed me out. And you know it." "I pushed you out because you crossed the line," Jim said, voice tightening. "You think it was about music or money? It was about her." Chrissy looked down. Her hands trembled. The room went quiet again. "I didn't cross nothing until you stopped showing up," Cam shot back. "You left space and don't act surprised someone filled it." "Someone?" Chrissy snapped, finally breaking. "I'm not furniture, Cam. I'm not a room that gets filled. I'm a person." For the first time, Cam seemed taken aback. Jim turned toward Chrissy. "You ever love him?" The question dropped like a bomb. She didn't answer right away. She closed her eyes, took a breath. "Not the way I loved you," she said. "But yeah, there was something. A long time ago." Jim looked away. You could see the impact in his eyes. Cam added, "I never stopped thinking about her." Chrissy cut in sharp. "And that's your problem. You don't let things go. You keep receipts like they're trophies," the moderator intervened. "So, was it emotional manipulation, Cam?" He didn't deny it. Maybe I wanted her to remember what she lost." "What I lost?" Chrissy spat. "I lost peace. I lost years of healing because you kept dragging up things I tried to bury." The next segment of the sit-down moved into darker territory. Betrayal among brothers. Jim turned fully toward Cam. "You were my brother, and you threw that away for petty shots and shady messages." Cam leaned forward. "Nah, you threw it away when you started acting like you ain't need nobody. You got your girl, your fame, your reality TV bag, and forgot who helped you get there." "So this was revenge?" Jim asked. "No," Cam said coldly. "This was closure." Chrissy laughed bitterly. "No, this was ego. This was a man who couldn't stand not being the center of my story." The temperature dropped in the room. You could almost feel it. But then the moderator asked the final, most brutal question. "If you could go back, would any of you do things differently?" Chrissy said yes, instantly. "I'd be honest from the start. With Jim. With myself." Jim took a second. "I'd protect my heart better. I trusted people too much." Then all eyes turned to Cam. He paused, smiled faintly. "Nah," he said. "I'd do it all again. Every message, every moment." Chrissy shook her head, eyes welling up. "And that's why we're done," she whispered. The clip ended there. But the conversation was far from over. Within hours, the clip had tens of millions of views. Reactions poured in from celebrities, influencers, fans. Some praised Chrissy for finally standing up for herself. Others accused Cam of being toxic and unapologetic. And Jim? Everyone agreed he was the one caught in the deepest pain of all. But the full sit-down episode hadn't even dropped yet. The full sit-down episode aired on a Sunday evening, and by midnight, it had already broken streaming records. Over 18 million. Views in less than 6 hours. Group chats were exploding, reaction videos were flooding YouTube, and fans across the world tuned in like it was the Super Bowl of heartbreak. But no one was prepared for how raw, how brutal, and how deeply personal it would get once the cameras kept rolling beyond the teaser clips. The episode picked up exactly where it left off. Chrissy's eyes glassy, her lips trembling, her voice barely above a whisper. "And that's why we're done." Those words seemed to echo in the room like a funeral bell. Jim didn't flinch, Cam didn't blink. The silence was deafening. Then, the moderator leaned forward and dropped the biggest question of the night. Did either of you ever truly apologize to Jim? Chrissy nodded slowly. I've tried. I've said sorry. I've begged. But sorry doesn't rewind time. Her voice cracked. Sorry doesn't erase screenshots. Sorry doesn't fix a broken man. Cam, on the other hand, shrugged. Nah, he said flatly. I ain't apologized. Not because I don't feel bad, but because I ain't fake. Jim turned to him, eyes narrowed. You think being honest means being heartless? Cam snapped back. You think being hurt gives you ownership of everybody else's pain? That's when it all spilled over. Chrissy cut in, shaking with frustration. This is what you do, Cam. You flip everything. You were the one who chased me. You were the one who sent those messages. You were the one who used our past to try to humiliate me. And now you want to sit here and act like you're the victim? Cam leaned forward. I never said I was the victim. I said I was real. There's a difference. Nah, Jim said, his voice dark. You were reckless. It felt like the tension had reached its peak. Then the moderator asked what no one expected. Were there feelings between any of you that you never admitted out loud? The room went still again. Chrissy wiped her face, looked down, then slowly up at Jim. There were times I felt things for Cam. After you and I were already together, she said, but I never acted on them. I didn't want to ruin what we had. Jim's face tightened. Cam added, and I ain't gonna lie, there were times I thought about pulling her away from you. Then why didn't you? The moderator asked. Cam paused, looking straight at Jim. Because even when I hated you, I still loved you like my brother. The room dropped into silence again. Chrissy's voice broke. This is the most honest we've all ever been with. Each other, and it took a scandal to get here. But the confessions weren't over. When asked about the second leaked DMs, the ones showing Chrissy telling Cam, sometimes I think about how things could have been, she admitted they were real. I was vulnerable, she said. Jim and I were in a bad place, and Cam knew it. The moderator turned to Cam. Did you exploit her vulnerability? He stared at the floor for a long time before answering. Yeah, he said quietly. I did. Chrissy's hand flew to her mouth. Jim looked stunned. I didn't mean to hurt her, Cam continued, but I was angry. Angry at both of y'all, at myself too. I was petty, I was bitter. And yeah, I used our past to get under your skin, Jim. Jim shook his head. And you did. Congratulations, Cam's voice dropped, but it didn't make me feel better. It made me feel worse. For the first time, Cam looked human. Not the cool, unbothered legend, just a man who had messed up. Deeply. Do you regret it? The moderator asked. Cam nodded slowly. Yeah, not the feelings, not the history, but the way I moved. Yeah, I regret that. Chrissy was crying silently now. Her tears fell freely, but her posture stayed strong. Jim took a deep breath and turned to her. Do you still want this? Us? He asked, voice cracking for the first time. She didn't answer right away. The whole room seemed to hold its breath. I want peace, she finally said, with or without you. But yeah, I still love you. Jim blinked hard, looked down. His voice almost broke. Then why does it still feel like you chose him over me? Cam stood up, quietly. Not with anger, not with drama. He stepped back from the table and faced Jim. Because she didn't, he said. I just never let go. And with that, Cam walked off the set. The camera stayed on Jim and Chrissy. No one spoke for nearly a full minute. Then Jim turned to her and said something fans will never forget. I don't know if we'll ever fix this, but I'm willing to try. Chrissy nodded through her tears. Me too. The sit-down ended with that. No hug, no resolution, no forced smiles. Just raw truth and shattered walls. The credits rolled in silence, but the reactions, explosive. Celebrities flooded the comments. Fans debated all night. Podcasts dissected every second. Twitter turned into a war zone. But deep down, everyone agreed. This was more than drama. It was a real-life heartbreak caught on camera. And just when the world thought it was over, a new story broke. An anonymous insider claimed there was one more message. One Cam never released. one that could flip the entire narrative. The leak came at 3:17 a.m. No warning, no context, just a single screenshot uploaded by an anonymous Twitter account with less than 300 followers. But within minutes, it spread like wildfire across every platform imaginable. The screenshot appeared to be from Camron's phone, a saved draft, not a sent message, not a deleted thread. AA draft, and it read about how sometimes truth doesn't come in shouting matches or Instagram lives, but in sitting across from the people you hurt and saying what should have been said years ago. And while the wounds might never fully heal, the fact that they tried, that they faced it, became the most powerful chapter of all. So there you have it, a saga that stretched across decades, survived the internet, broke friendships, shook fans, and exposed raw truths that had been buried for far too long. Chrissy finally spoke. Cam came clean, and Jim stood strong in the storm that threatened to tear down everything he built. This wasn't just drama, this was the kind of emotional wreckage that reality TV wishes it could capture. Love, loyalty, betrayal, and redemption, all colliding under the harsh lights of fame and public opinion. And the craziest part? There are still questions left hanging in the air. Will Jim and Chrissy ever truly reconcile? Will Cam and Jim rebuild any kind of brotherhood? Was Miami the last secret, or just one of many more still hidden behind silent phones and unsent messages? And more importantly, how many relationships in the spotlight are carrying ghosts just like this? The internet has moved on, sure, but the fans? We never forget. And now we want to hear from you. Do you think Chrissy was telling the full truth? Was Cam really just hurt? Or was this always about clout? Should Jim have walked away for good? Or does real love deserve a second chance? Even after all that pain? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. We're reading everything. And if you've been here since the first leak, you already know what to do. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Because if another message, another verse, or another twist drops, you know we'll be the first to bring it to you. This has been the wildest ride of the year, and you rode it with us. Until next time, stay locked in.